Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming. I'm Dell and this is the From the Depths designer, and in this episode what we are going to look at is, as we talked about in our previous video changes, is we did a fight with our sub-aquanautic fleet and our subs, and we found a little issue with our fleet that could be improved, so to increase the efficiency of our systems and just get a bit more damage and get through those fights a little bit better. Now the main issue we found was against the large ships, especially that the Onyx Watch have. We were not really getting the block damage that we would like against some of those bigger ships we came across. We were hitting them, but it was just taking a long time to blow them up and hit the critical areas like the AI, etc. So what we have a plan for is I'm going to class it as an ICBM submarine. So we'll go through that in a section, all the various ideas. But first of all, for those that want to skip ahead to relevant sections, all they're worried about, down below, if you look down in the comments below, you should see time codes to the various stages of this build. So if you want to skip to just one of the weapon systems or possibly just the combat testing at the end, it should all be down there somewhere for you to have a look at. So quite happily go down there. For everybody that stayed around, I'm going to waffle on a little bit about what the idea is. So basic idea, ICBM submarines. Obviously it's a submarine, so it goes under the water. Now this won't be a deep submersible because there's problems with missiles when they're fired from too deep a water. It's very limiting on vessels at the moment. So depth wise we're only looking at around 40 to 50 meters depth approximately at this time is where it's going to keep. The other idea, the ICBM style of this sub. So ICBM, what does that mean for us? Well, obviously real life ICBMs are nuclear missiles that travel thousands and thousands of miles, but this is from the depths, so we at most can go 1,000 meters. So range wise, yes, I could go out to 2,000 meters, but there's no point because you'd only get about one warhead out there, and yeah, that's not going to fulfill what we're after. So I'm going for the other part, which is maximum damage. So all the missiles in this ship will have at least 8 warheads to do the maximum amount of frag, HE, EMP, you name it, it's going to do it type of damage to our enemies. So that's the primary function. The second part of this being ICBM is, ICBMs go suborbital. Well, we can't really do that in this game. You could, but it gets a bit stodgy because missiles do not go through space very well. But I want these to come down on a fairly high trajectory. So effectively they give a plunging fire type effect and hit the top of a ship rather than trying to go through the side so much. So we're going to have a high arc on these missiles is the second part of this side. That will vary. When they're near the limit of their range, then their arc will be fairly shallow because of the way it goes in. When they're got a little closer, so when they're at their shorter range, it will be more top down. So we're going to see how that works out. So that's the aim. Some big missiles as far as feasibly possible. Now feasibly possible, we're looking at a maximum range on the missiles I have had a look at and a bit of a test on, maximum range about 1,400 meters. But the ideal range is going to be around the 900 to 1,000 meters. That's most engagement starting ranges are around that sort of area. This will have little or no close range defense. Someone gets close to this, it's toast if they can get to it. The idea is it's part of a fleet, they deal with all the close range stuff. This stays out as far as possible on that engagement range of 900 to 1,000 and just blows crap up, which is big. It just blows big things up as quickly as it can, quite simply. it's not going to fire a lot of missiles. We're going to most probably look at how we can do this. It'll only fire at large targets. We'll most probably have a largish alpha strike, which will then take quite some time to reload, and possibly has a fairly slow fire rate. Block missiles we're looking at, the ICBM missile we're looking at is a 17 block missile. That was what I managed to get to fire out to 1400 meters or a little bit more with that number of warheads within a reasonable time. Maybe we can, someone might, if you want to have a look at it, you can try and improve that, but that's going to be that size missile, which means it's going to take 30 seconds, 34 seconds to reload. So yeah, this won't be firing very often. And then we've got a small, then we'll have a smaller, slightly closer range missile, which is only 11 blocks big. Yeah, just 11 blocks. And that's got a range, still does 8, but that's only got a range out to about 1,000 meters, but it goes down as low as 400. The big block missile has a problem with actually short range. Its actual operational range is only about 900 to 1,400. So we've got to keep in that range ideally. Whereas the smaller missile has a much wider operational envelope. Finally, since it's a sub, we'll put some Torps in there. And there'll be bloody big Torps. There'll be some nice, again, Torps that come under the water, and we'll use all of the little tricks we found with, what should we say, cutting fragmentations to cut up inside the vessel it's attacking, and basically try and cut it open. So we'll have some Torps as well, and they'll be very long range. They'll have quite a large range envelope, because Torps can go out to over the 2,000 meter mark, but we'll have a look. They again will be very long torpedoes, but we'll see how that fits in. So design, let's have some thoughts about the basics. So get into build mode. Let's do that magic first item, which will be a new vehicle, and go into here, get that magical first block going. Piece of wood, there we go. Right, now obviously, as I've already said, some of these missiles are very big. Oops, that's the wrong one. Metal beam, there we go. So this is going to need some length. To be able to get these missiles. Now what I'm going to do is work a deployment system, because trying to create something which is 17 blocks high is just not going to be feasible, really. It's just not going to work. Now we'll go, so what we're going to have to do is have launcher systems that work on the ship. So it, similar to the ones we've done before, it will open up and launch only when a target is within the range envelope, but otherwise they will be hidden down. Now I'm setting this down at the moment as a rough base for our vehicle, and then what we're going to do is create some work out how many blocks we need to create a launcher system. Now what I'm thinking is have each missile type, it will be composed of 2 separate launcher blocks, launcher bays as such, and they will basically, I'm thinking, tilt up and then fire once they're in position. Now the first one is going to be the longest one, this 17 block missile. So yeah, that's gonna, let's just work that out, and we'll just use some wood actually, just to sort of like show what sort of size we're looking at here. So if we're going to work this out from the back, let's say we don't have torpedoes up the front and we can extend that out. We're just going to start with this system and then build everything around this missile block system. So 17 blocks, that's 4, 8, 12, 16. We're going to need about that length missile. Yep, that's about 20 blocks. So allowing for launch pad and a 6-way behind. That leaves us 1 extra at the top. Oh, these are laser guided. So how many are we going to have in each block? Let's say that that is the side armored. We want these armored. We don't want people blowing the missile block up first thing first chance they get. I want to. We'll have a little bit of a block of them. So how many shall we have? Let's see. Now we could go for a very large block of them, and it's just going to launch these over about a minute. That's an idea, and then it will just take ages for it to reload. So yes, that sounds good. So if we put, say, about, this is to make it expensive, but 16 in each 4x4 block. So just laying this out as a rough. If I'll use something else as a sign of, we'll just use stone. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be our 2 missile bays. Yeah, so we'd fire these off. There might be a little too many. Maybe reduce that down to 12. Maybe, or do a 9. Maybe we do a 9 on this first one. 2 9s. Or now, okay, in the center here we've got enough room. We haven't quite got enough room for our spin block, because obviously we need a spin block to hold all of this and a bit of armor. So we would need to go a little wider, which is why we're laying this all out now. So if we had that coming up there at the very end, this end, we would need a spin block, and obviously we couldn't put one there because the other person would knock against it. So we need that in the center. Actually, let me just put a metal block there, because that's going to be a fairly much a given part. A bit of gap, and we also need a bit of armor. So it's going to have to. So we have 1 metal block armor. So we're looking at more going out this distance. So let's see. There. Let's just plan this out. Sorry, let's go back. Let's say we have our spin block. Then we have a nice bit of armor. Then we have our missiles. Then we have another bit of armor. And then we want a bit of hull underneath. Okay, so that's our width. And then that's the hull, where the hull is. Okay, so we ended up with a fairly flattish boat now at the moment, and that's fine. That's looking reasonable. Okay, so that's going to be the layout for this main missile system. So let's get that built. Now we'll leave a little bit of, it's going to be down the bottom. It's basically going to take up just about the whole of this rear section of the ship, by the looks of it. So that's going to come out to there. There we go. As I say, I'm just laying this out. If I just 2, 3, 4, and then up, and then this way. So that is the rough area we're talking about on here. Now, for this first missile system, and when that pivots up, now we've got a couple, actually there's a couple of choices you've got with pivots. So to make this look a little neater, as much as anything, I'm just extending this out all the way to the front while I'm thinking about it. So that's the size. When it pivots, it could either pivot at the very rear, which does expose all this area, or we could raise this up a bit and pivot it more centrally, so the rear goes down a little bit and the center comes up. We'd have to raise it up a little bit on this section, but that could be a nicer look. So for each, we want to get to 90 degrees, so for every 4, so if we wanted it to go there, it would have to start at the point of 8. We could also, we don't have to pivot it at this bottom corner here, we could pivot it more centrally or actually nearer the top, but we do have to in that case allow enough room below for the rear of it to come down. The good part about it is once it's up, it would fill a little bit of the area. Split on that, could just have it on this rear and simply there. It does mean that when the ship is built, there's going to be no, it's just going to stick up a lot. But if you get any fire comes into the center section, it's going to blow a hole straight through the bottom of this bloody boat. But hey ho, I think that's going to be one of those vulnerabilities of the ship, let's put it that way. So that's fair. Okay, let's say we have now got a bit of a section here which could be ammo or some other item of the ship. So we're going to give ourselves about an 8 block there before we put anything more in. So somewhere in that region we've got something which is in the ship. Going to need some blocks here, you know, just stopping anything coming forward. Now we've got the next section, which is an 11 block missile. Now we're going to do the same. So that means 11 blocks, plus we're going to need a certain amount for the controller. So if we say we got a spin block here, stone block. So let's say we're going to use exactly the same philosophy. Now, okay, one thing I've got to allow, if we're going to the same height, when this comes back, it's going to have to fill in this gap behind. So if we're going for, again, another 16, and that's from the spin block, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's actually 5 back. So if it went to there, the spin block would actually have to be here. Yep. And another forward beam. Again, we could move this forward a bit and up. And then we're going to go with, oops, it's not there. It's going to be a forward beam there. And then our missiles. Let's go for another 16 block. And then the outer side. Now these are going to be about 11 block missiles, so that's 12, and they might need a little bit more. I'll just put a couple of bits on there. Okay, so that would be that section, and that will also tilt up, although that seems to be bigger for some reason. Why is this one worked out bigger? That's because I have done this differently. So that's supposed to be there. Just correct that whilst I am doing it, otherwise our plans would be all wrong. Little things like that can basically screw me over. And we don't want to be that, because we need it to be correct. Otherwise there's no point in building this if it's not correct. It would just not work. It should be almost as worse. Almost as worse would be just as bad. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so there and some there. And that leaves us some room at the front for some torpedoes. A torpedo system may be here or even underneath, etc. for our torpedo system. Okay, let's go back to the rear. And we're going to have a look at this first missile system. Hello and welcome back. Been doing a little bit of experimentation on some of the possible layouts for missiles in this 16 block type of square. As you can see, I've come up with quite a few possible options, and the number of missiles we get and how complex it gets. This is an example, is in that area I could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 missiles, but it does extend one of the missiles by another 2 blocks, which is possible, but that's only 6 missiles I'm getting out of that for this quite complex block, which I might do. I've got feelings of. If we extend it a little bit, so extend the width and the height by 1, so it's a 5 by 5 block. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a 5 by 5 block we could get, so that's the layout that would be needed there. And this, I think, this was a different version of the 5 by 5, just with it being a slightly more pyramid like. And this one did get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in a we got 12 in a 5 by 5, so that is also a possibility. But you can see how much this extends higher, which would mean that this would have to come out further, and it's opening up a whole area of the ship to be attacked, for want of a better word. So there is one other format which is space efficient, a lot simpler, and on Torps we might take out the 14 block ICBM for the moment, and just stick with the 11 block system in a traditional vertical launch mode, just for this moment. If I can later go back in and add it in again, I think I will do. If I can find, maybe what I might do is create a couple of small ones on the side as like a side sponson, which vertically comes up and fires these, but not as the primary damage system. What I think might be a better idea, a more efficient but also look quite good when it's firing, is the 11 block system. 2 rows, quite large rows of these 11 block systems, so we're still going to have a range of about 1100 meters, which is good, which is very good, coming in high, and they still have the 8 blocks of damage, but we're going to get a lot more missiles in on this system. So I'm going to lay this system out instead, and get rid of the this area, and come back to that at a later stage. Now the easiest way to do this is to cheat a little bit, and I'm just gonna make sure that I'm in here. Let's see if I just cut it off. Goodbye. Yes, so that system is gone for the moment. But we will come back and revisit that. I think that missile system with all the ejectors is just a bit too ruddy long, I think. So we're going to end up with a slightly taller ship than we expected, than I wanted. But I think it will be better defensively and actually give out a better damage to the enemy in a short time. So I don't think it's too bad. So we're just going to go, this is going to be a, let's call this medium range ICBMs or short range ICBMs, if there is such a thing. It's not truly short range, these are still 1100 meter missiles, but they've got 400 to 1100, so we've got quite a good range. So going back to this then, so the basic design is a central spar with one either side. So if we just lay that out, so we need where's our central point, and there we go. Right, so we're going to leave, so there's a bulkhead, we need ejectors, and then we can one there and there. So we just start laying out here, there, and we need to go up 2. There we go. I'll explain how that is. Then along 2, then up, along 2, along 2, along 2. How many do we want? We want, I'm thinking, if we're going against very big ships, which is what this is aimed at a big ship killer. So we need quite a few, I'm thinking. It's better, there is no, overkill is a valid tactic. There is no such thing as overkill. I quite like that in the forum. There is only fire and reload. That is the only commands and things that matter. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go up to 8, 7, 8. Right, now we need the ones below, and we're going to start here. So we start with one on the inside. Now it actually has to be on and raised, and then we go one on the opposite side, and we just go opposites like this. So this one's all going to be on this side, and we might as well just get that last one. And then these ones are all on this side. And our actual launcher pads face up. Come on, face up. Da, 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 da. I was right there. Let's see, which way should we have them? We're having facing backwards. Right, before I go any further, let's make sure I've got this right, because otherwise it's going to be start again from scratch, which I don't want to do again. Oh, that's good. It's boring. Okay, so one there, one there, one there. Whoops, I'm hitting the wrong one. And then there, there. One more. There, and have we got everywhere? No, I think there's one missing just here. Just one missing there. Okay, so that's our basic four-way. So there's 4 ejectors on every one of them, and they're only really raised by 1, although they have to be 1 above so I can fit the 6-way so they can all be connected. So okay, that's working. Right, let me just get them all laid out with all of these parts, and get the basic parts on there for the ejector. They're going to be 2 separate. These are going to be separated, so they'll have their own fire controllers, etc., their own staggers, etc., so we can have a bit of a muck around with them. So see you in a short bit. Okay, right, that is the missile batteries sorted out. So yeah, not inconsiderable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there's 48 ICBM missiles of sheer mass destruction ready to be fired out at any ship that comes in range. So I think that would be acceptable. It's not exactly how I would have envisioned it originally, and this is going to become, I think, once I start looking at the hull, a pretty long ship. Otherwise the shape's going to be a bit weird. We're going to have to obviously look at some sizes. They'll be quite sizable, quite bulbous, to get a bit of size on there. The sides can be a little flat, but we're going to put a bit of shape on them. Don't want them totally flat. You know, we will potentially put a bit of curve, but there most probably won't be that much armour on these. Potentially we'll go for some shields, of course, you know, but it's mainly going to just stay at range. It's got one target in its for its missiles, and that's it. It's aimed at one potential enemy, and we must sort of take that as a concept, possibly all the way to the back and front. So it's got that sort of shape, slightly flat bottomed. Not too worried about that. I'll bring this in a little bit after this section. We'll bring it in, but there's one good thing. This gives us lots of space to put stuff in here. I don't want to make it too fat and bulbous. We do want it to be a sub rather than being a ball. Although maybe there is something to be said about that, having it as a submersible ball of ICBM fun. That's got its whole own level of goodness about that as a possibility. But for the moment, I think we'll go for the this shape, carry that forward and backwards, and see how we go from there. So let me sort out this hull next and just get it filled out. We're going to have to go forward a fair bit, I'm thinking here, as far as the sections go. Now I could make this as a sub object and load it in. This is going to be quite a big. We might put some more missile systems in this as well. Since we've got so much space, we've got these ICBMs. We might do some other level missiles in here which are attacking a different way. This could end up being an alternative to the Leviathan, quite possibly by the time we're finished. But hopefully I can keep the block count down a little bit, so it doesn't quite get that large. And this one, I think it's going to have to come out. How far? About there. Engines, yeah, a little bit more maybe. A little bit there, just to get that curvature down from there. I don't mind this if it's going to be should we say an escort or a support ship for the Leviathan. So Leviathan's got a lot of close range, fast firing missiles, as we saw in the battle. It does very well. It's just they haven't got the big punch. There are lots of little 1 and 2 block 2 warhead missiles. This is purely aimed as a long distance, big hitting. So we might, as I say, we could fit in a second level battery of shorter missiles somewhere here, maybe some 8 block ones, maybe that's got maybe about 5 warheads in them. We'll have a look at that. So we're just scaling it down a little bit from the original ICBM idea of the 17 block missile to potentially have this 11 block, which I like, and then maybe a 8 block. Somewhere around here, a nice 8 block. Still, I think maybe slightly shorter range, or just slightly shorter, less warheads, but still maybe 6, 5 or 6, something like that. Okay, let me fill this in a little bit, and then I will be back with hopefully engine build and some final bits and pieces to fill in on this. We've got a lot of balancing to do on this. I'm thinking there's going to be a fair bit of we'll compartmentalise up a lot of the areas to make the air a bit better with using air pumps. I know some people don't agree with using air pumps, but we'll talk about that. It's not they don't agree, they say they're no good, but I like to say you've got to use air pumps and hydrofoils. There's a bit of both, really. It's not one or the other. You have to use both, but we'll go through that when it comes to the balancing. So, see you in a short while. Hello and welcome back. And I've filled out the hull a fair bit now actually. It's quite well sorted. I've left plenty of spaces for us for some extra items. I just noticed a bit I hadn't filled up, and I've tried to compartmentalize where possible, so that we can use air pumps, and if we get water in, it's not gonna just basically completely and utterly sink. Now we've got these nice areas. That's an anomaly, I think, on that. That should disappear hopefully soon. We've got these long areas. Now what I'm thinking is that we can use these for extra missiles. The size of this vehicle has gone way above a simple missile boat, and it's got to that stage now where really I'm thinking this is definitely, oops, that's the wrong items I just put in there, and in that one, yeah, that's I need one of those blocks. It's getting to the stage where it's a full-blown ship, equivalent to the Leviathan, or very close to it, and you know, we should treat it similarly and give it some good firepower. Now it's going to be a big missile boat, don't get me wrong. This is going to be its primary function, is still the ICBM missiles and taking out very large ships. It's still going to be its primary purpose. And so we've got these 24, I think it's 24, is it 48? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 48 ICBM missiles. So they're going to be our primaries. But I'm also now thinking of two other large areas. Now we've got two areas here, two floors. It's a double floor system, and I have put in a little ramp. It's not for disabled access, but you know, we can get up here, a little ramp system. Once you've gone through the missile bay here and seen all of the lovely ICBMs waiting to be launched, you can go through here up into the secondary, or maybe the anti-air possible missile bay in here, or some areas like that. Or you could, from here, you can go down here, and this will be the engine room. So we've got plenty of room to create a largish engine in here for all the shields and all the other bits I'm going to be putting in here. And then potentially we've got down the front. So the other way through, we're going through a little walkthrough. We'll go through here. This will be our control room. AI and other areas. Might make a couple of floors in here again, just to split it up and add a protective layer to it. This last thing, I think something I hate is when they just come in and just totally and utterly waste all of my AI in the first couple of seconds. So I'm going to well armour the sides and top of this area, and maybe make a second level, so split it up into two sets of AI, and maybe put a little conning tower here for my guy just to stick his head up, or maybe not. Okay, then we've got this area, so we come through here, and I better put a little ramp up here, otherwise, you know, I might not be able to, you know, those poor people with those poor robots, you know, when the Daleks take over, they're going to need to have ramps, because, you know, they can't climb stairs. So we need to make sure there's ramps available for them. So we can have another missile system here. Now I'm thinking either maybe an AA missile system, an anti-air based one, or this could be the another, not quite ICBM, but similar sort of, maybe a smaller block, maybe about an 8 block missile. These are 11 block, so these are quite big. So I could make an 8 block system, or 7 block. Still got a lot of missile warheads, maybe, let's think, somewhere near 5 or 6 warhead blocks, approximately. That would be enough to add power, but faster firing. And lower trajectory, so they come out of the water and just launch towards the system. I also did have one other idea, something I haven't done, and I thought maybe worth a try, is the mass everything fire at one time type missile system. So you just have lots and lots and lots and lots of missiles, and they're not staggered, they just all fire at the same time. But to stop them triggering each other, they each have a safety. That stops one triggering the other, but they are so close behind each other when they fire, because they're effectively all fired at the same time. All these missiles at one target just land on it and just completely and utterly obliterate it in one go. That sounds fun. That does actually. That does sound fun. Missile system. Indeed, actually. And then the rear section can be maybe a slightly more slow, steady firing system designed for anti-air. Because of the depth, it fires earlier than the actual range of the missile, and just slowly keeps on firing a missile that comes up and then jets off in the direction, constantly just doing that, hoping to get, not hoping, but waiting to get the interception. A lot of wasted missiles, but the chances are, because we've got this couple of seconds delay when it comes up, it should still be alright. But this is aimed, basically designed for fast moving vehicles, intercepting fast moving vehicles coming for it. So that would be the rear section, above the engines below. Ammo production would be spread out a little bit, and we obviously need to get a keel. Hello, and this is just a quick note that due to the size of the ICBM sub and its change in its sizing, with the video's been split up, so the next section will hold the secondary weapons and the testing. So please look for part 2 of the ICBM sub build videos in the channel. I will try to put a link in the description below once it has been uploaded. So see you in part 2.